day. 35 past 6. And this is what crude and gold looks like. Crude's been sitting in this little zone for quite a while. It's made a bit of a ceiling that it looks like it's just popped up from the 69 down to 67, 68, 70, sorry. So, interesting to see what will happen here. If it does come up, it could come all the way up to the... We could see it come up to the bottom of the morning's range. 69.15, perhaps. Unless it turns back here, in which case right now is the time to get in, but this is a little bit aggressive. Gold has been slowly stepping its way up all morning, come to a peak. Gold is just rotating around this 652 level. This could be a ceiling that's made here, but it's definitely not a tradable area. Could potentially take a long if it came down to 650 or so, although that's a bit scary as well because it's got this extra 48.8 down here. So, not feeling extremely confident about anything I'm seeing. Same goes for crude. Didn't end up popping up out here before, and it has just basically hovered at 68.90, around the 92. It's not really coming back down, but not coming up either, so just random sideways, solidly in the middle of the spectrum. I'm trying not to focus too much on it because I like watching the gold and the crude more. Obviously more moves are happening on the Nasdaq because it moves so much more, but I don't want to get drawn into anything crazy. Alright, crude's coming down finally, after actually peaking again here at the 69. Not enough structure to have taken a move off that. Maybe I'm playing it too safe, but I didn't feel very confident here. Gold, could see a little pop down, but we're talking about 5 ticks really, so crude's back at the low of the day now. I think gold's at a bit of a ceiling, but doesn't look like it's got it in it to bounce off of it. Definitely hasn't got room. Hasn't shown that it's got any room to come down. But don't fancy taking a long either. If it came up, it could come up to the 55, 26. I wasn't recording my voice. Could come down to the 68 here on crude, or it looks like it's going to happen now. That's yesterday's second low. Gold has taken a little punch up and is now coming back to test it. Thinking a destination for gold would be the 655. If it was to jump up. Taking the short. It's potentially got room to come down to the 48, but don't know. Gold is sitting comfortably above its old range. I'm regretting not waiting for some sort of pullback. We'll just have to hold on. If it's a loss, it's a loss. Losing faith in this trade now. So crude's back down at the 68 after retesting the coming up and having a look at the floor from earlier. Bummed about this loss here. I could have entered at a better price, but actually I was going to get stopped out no matter what. I was looking for a continuation down to the 48, which was the true low from yesterday. Low, which was the 68. Where it's currently sitting. It's a bit of a direction of the day, I suppose, with some tumbles, but I always find direction difficult to enter. If it does fall down now to the 48, that would be quite funny. Gold has sort of just dribbled upwards towards its destination of 55. I'll try a long here with the crude, this time entering against the probability of a breakout. This is a stab in the dark though. Gold came up to the 58.8 before turning around or having a little bit of a pullback. 55, 56, could see it. Could just rotate around this 52 now. Just looking for a little punch up from crude. There we go. That was a bit of a wild move there. If I had to analyse it, I would say that not really strong enough direction to be trying to take a play off of it. And this move was essentially a breakout to try and reach here. Direction always feels strange, and I think this is why. So, this retest of this level here, I think that made a lot of sense. Of course, maybe I'm cherry picking as well, and I just got lucky. Gold came up to a couple ticks below where I said it might, and then just shrunk back. It's a little bit too mixed to find anything. I think this target was here for crude was good. Not asking too much. It looks like it's settled just above it, so I'm happy with that. I like this ceiling here on NASDAQ that I've just changed channels to come and have a look at, which always makes it feel like I can't just take a trade. This is a weird little zone because it's got this hill above where it is. Yep, let's see it come up. Gold coming back up, 55. I like that. Fuck you for not giving me an entry, but at the same time, I like watching it behave. Now, could this be direction on gold? We've got a destination up here at the 58 and the 59. So 30 ticks away. This looks like a lance up, but at the same time, it's just been a bit odd. This whole dribble upwards. Direction does seem to be a little bit of a sticking point for me. So we've got the 58 and the 59 as our destination. But at the same time, it could have just finally reached and just spilt out over the 56, sitting down at the 55. I think crude might have made its low for the day now and has recovered back up to, yeah, this little evening consolidation zone. Probably won't see another opportunity. Who don't? I don't know. Maybe it will. NASDAQ again sitting comfortably. pushing higher, could potentially come up to this. How do you even say that number? 29.75. It looks like gold's lost its steam and couldn't hit up to the 58. It's ranging now between the 55. Came up to 56. It likes this little area for now. I think these internal directional moments, especially on choppy days like this, just are very hazardous to try and get in on. For example, here on crude, you could argue this is direction here, but it wasn't direction until it left this zone. And really, up until about here, you couldn't rule out a breakout. In fact, even then, it consolidated just here. So, yeah, this was direction. And for sure, if instead of this here, or all of this, we had come up from down here, then this would just look like the continuation of direction. But because of the context, it can't be categorized as direction. Just like here, I traded this as direction just because we had reached the bottom of yesterday's second low. Yeah, it's been bouncing down, but that's not proper direction, and really that's a breakout trade. I think possibly because I had decided the destination and then it reached it, I could see the next logical destination and just assumed that it would keep going, or had a biased thought process that it would just keep going. This trade felt reckless when I entered it, but at the same time, logically it made sense, and it paid off. And yeah, it would have been great to hold on for all of this, but my target was a wise target for there. Gold has been flapping around today. I know you're going up, but there's no way in. Gold's come down again to test this little blip up here. I don't know how to describe these things, but you can see, obviously. Unless you're listening and not watching. This looks like an obvious stair step, but I don't have much confidence in its ability to come and tag the 58. I don't know if this language is useful because it creates biases. Just too random. It needs to be very not random before you can even be looking for a setup. 8 o'clock. Crude still hovering at this little ceiling here. I like that I didn't enter here, although I could have. It's just butting up against this little ceiling. I think a breakout's less likely, but at the same time, this structure isn't properly... It's very indecisive still. I would love to see a lower range being respected as well. Gold is trying to set something up, but it's a little bit indecisive still as well. Okay, so gold's had a bit of a consolidation type day, came down to the low of day, morning low, bounced off, back to the morning low twice, and then rallied up to make a new high of the day, only just moving past the morning open. Rallied up, bounced off, came up again, only barely exceeded it, and rotated around that price level of 675, 676. And tagged this 675.8 a couple times, just butting up against it, coming down to 674, all the way back up to 675, 675.8. It's fallen down again. So it's ranging. If we go to oil, a similar story except in the reverse. It's come down to make a new low of the day. That has been ranging with great structure actually at the moment. I've only just sat down, but there's been some, had a few moves here which could have been interesting. I like the look of this long here. Now the range boundaries are weakening. Could be a nice short here, but this weakened, pushed down from before. Might have caught something there if I had been there early enough, but still. I feel the range is losing conviction on NAS. So, as usual, it's just a matter of sitting back and watching. Coming back up on gold here, could potentially see another chance for a short, although this consolidation has been very sporadic and random. The range is defined, but the habits are not in rhythm, if that makes sense. Crude is coming up to this little recent high again. Similar to gold, it's just butting up against this 88. Peak of 90 earlier. Managed to get to 89. 91. Just tagging this price a lot, but staying under for now. Could take a short fall off of it, but it has got destinations above it as well. It's got the 70, which looks like a nice place for it to go. Looking back at the Nasdaq now, the loss of conviction for that consolidation area was a good observation, I think. Probably could have caught a move there, but it's losing conviction on the floor of the range. Be interesting to see how high it comes up here. Back up to the ceiling with NAS. Might see a little punch up here. I like the looks of a downside move for all the markets at the moment, but I don't have an entry on any of them, and I don't really want to enter without one. Perhaps not the Nasdaq. It looks like it could. We're seeing a lot of weakness on the lower range, lower side. It looks like it is punching slightly higher each time, and slightly higher on the lows each time. Gold has crept back up to the top of this range here. The thing is, I'm seeing this range, but it's over a long period rather than, it hasn't found a rhythm, is what I guess I'm. Okay, the microphone was dead there for a second, but I think you saw what happened with the NAS. It finally started to come down and I caught a small move. Ideally I would have entered higher up here. Right. I can't remember where we left off, but Nasdaq kept ripping down, pushed out of its little range, skateboarded out, and then returned. This long here did not look promising to me. I wouldn't have minded taking a short at the top because that coincided with the ceiling that had been made, but I didn't want to take a long there, and I'm glad I didn't because it came tumbling down. This was nice, although you would have had to been very quick. This wasn't too bad either. Either way, missed it. As usual with grey price action, it always feels like an opportunity is just around the corner. Not happy about taking a short here, where I wasn't at the time. This has messed with the rhythm of the range. I'm happy to leave it, even if it comes down, which it very well might at this rate. It could have shown stronger downside tendencies with the ranging than it has breaking higher. On the gold, we're looking like we're coming down to test this low spike that we got as a reaction from the 675. We've just punched slightly below. Next destination looks like 68 to me. I'm not going to try and follow this direction. It's not really direction in the how I like to see it. And crude is rotating around that area. So again, I'm looking at downwards pressure on all three, but nothing is showing me an entry. This would be the entry for gold if it was a higher conviction directional move. We're barely just out of the range here, so having another look on the crude here, coming up to the 24. The higher chance move here for crude is to come back in the day's range, but the rhythm feels off for me to feel more confident about such a short. Logical thing to do here is to fade this, but doesn't feel like the right thing to do here. So I'll just wait. I would like to see it have a sharp drop in back into the range, maybe to the 06. But if we're going to break out, I don't know where we could go. Short is looking nicer and nicer on this crude here. I think I should sit this one out. Don't have to trade everything you see. It's interesting here. There was a little blip that came down, and I think I felt that this was going to happen here, but I didn't have enough confidence in this, the rhythm of this being a significant range. I think when I look down at crude on the day, and you're looking at this double peak here, I'm trading a mean reversion consolidation type move. So that would have worked out nicely had I taken it, especially on the second entry here. Not that a breakout was more likely. I do think that the breakout was less likely move, but doesn't necessarily mean that. I was eyeing up this move on gold here, I quite liked that, but I was waiting for it to just come a little bit higher. That would be a fade for this, but that's quite an impulsive candle there. It's just broken out of the range, so I'm going to sit tight on that one as well. It's a tempting move on crude here. I might get stopped out here, but banking against a breakout. It's quite an impulsive candle here. Possibly could have gotten a better price. There we go. Still nothing on the Nasdaq. Came down to tag this 800. Come up 15 points or so. No entry. Gold is, its range is weakening, or has had weaker moves to either boundary. And there's the move on crude. That's painful to watch. Where do we come up to? So 3 ticks past my stop loss and then back to my take profit. That is painful to watch. Looking at the range on gold now. Again, this seems like it's getting a little bit more rhythm, but it's missed out on tagging the bottom here. So perhaps I've jumped the gun on this entry as well. This would have been a much better entry. Crude's back up at the top of the range here before it spilled out. It's tempting for another short on crude here, but the range has lost its rhythm after that spill out. It's quite a huge down candle there. Let's see where this gold trade moves. Okay, quite a stressful series of events, but actually, in hindsight, despite all the losses, each trade was correct. Just unfortunate. Apart from this one, obviously this one was an absolute reflex, trying to catch a knife in an extremely high volatile candle. Funnily enough, that actually was the correct move there as well, but because of the high volatility, my minuscule stop loss, obviously this was a reflexive trade, but still, that was a correct move there. My first loss was also the correct move, and it was right at the boundary of the price action as well. This huge impulse, well, this relatively large impulse candle could have given me pause, and I might have been able to get a better price for that entry. But either way, that's a lesson. This gold trade was also, I was quite happy with. Just unfortunately, I got stopped out by the tick. Then the same trade with the actual same price worked out in my favour. Just frustrating, I think. That's all. Gold's just creeping out of the recent range that it's been making. Considering trying to catch a move down to the 08 on gold, but I'm aware of wanting to just take more. And we could see a return to the range. That was not the right move to make. Mistake. I'm just going to get out. I don't care if it goes without me. Still no trade here on Nasdaq. Gold nearly came and tagged the 09-08 area. Didn't quite make it. Came back. I could have actually snatched 10 points, 10 ticks out of this one, but this was a silly move I shouldn't have entered, so I bailed with a scratch. Just trying to calm down. It'll be interesting to rewatch this because, yeah, that was pretty rough. Just 2 unfortunate moves. Hopefully something will set up, but usually if nothing looks like it's going to happen at this point in the session, then the development is unlikely. Annoyingly, if it wasn't for this impulse move here, I would have almost have come away with this with only one true full loss in terms of P&L. Also, a 10-10 bracket would have meant every trade was a winner today. Just an idea. Just becoming aware that I'm trying to force something, so I need to just calm down. I can see moves happening that feel like they're intuitive, but that doesn't mean I need to trade them, or even that I should. Nasdaq's ranging around this 850, 840 area with a peak at 855, but does look like it's trying to take a tumble. If it sits here for long enough to create some structure, there might be potential chance. Could potentially be a short at 860 or 859 or 855 perhaps, but I don't know, it's low conviction at the moment. Just sitting at Friday close. I don't seem to care so much about the previous day's highs, lows and close for gold and crude, because there seems to be such volatility in where it can start and where it ends that the entire day can be in a completely different range sometimes. Maybe I'm mistaken. But on the equities it definitely seems worth paying attention to. This would be a nice trade for a nice price for a short if there was better rhythm, better structure. But it's just too random at the moment. Now that I say that, I can see it coming down to 38, but I'm happy to leave it for now. And if it does come down, I need to make sure it doesn't tax my emotional stamina. I've decided I'm not going to enter. Rambles. In its current structure, I think that around 23 might be a great price to go for a short on gold, but unfortunately the rhythm just isn't there and the structure just isn't there. So, but if it were, that would be my ideal price. And for a long down to the 620 would be nice. 620, bang on 620 would be quite nice, but because of the spill out here, it just gives me low conviction. I'm looking for the best moves. Similarly with crude, we've got the 68.85 down here at the bottom. Tagged that a few times, which would be nice for a long, but we've had this spill out here again, which disrupts the rhythm. If it weren't for this could have been quite nice. And at the top we've got 95. Top of the spill out at the top was 96 as well, so a short might be nicer, but the rhythm isn't ideal. Nasdaq is doing what it wants at the moment. Set my brackets for 10-10 this time, and I want to get the best entries possible to take the pressure off the stop losses. That's for the commodities, crude and gold. Crude's come up to the top of its range now. The rhythm's a little erratic. I have to see what happens here. Could see a spill out to the top. Potential fake out and come back in, or a continuation. It's looking like it wants to punch up higher. Here's my biased view. This would be the time to buy if I felt higher conviction that it would come in. Gold's breached its little higher bound here. This has got even less rhythm to it, so I don't think I'll short this, although anything could happen here. It's a shame about the crude trade. That was very stupid. That took a lot of time for the crude trade there, and I'm reasonably happy with the entry price. I could have got slightly better, but still, that was a great trade. I feel utterly disgusted at the two reflexive trades I took on this single candle and Nasdaq. If I try and break down my mindset from that, I was previously looking at a potential breakdown from this level here. An immediate red flag for my thinking should be if I'm trying to anticipate a breakout. No matter how tempting it looks on this chart, I have an absolutely horrendous track record of being able to anticipate those. That stabbing down candle and trying to catch it has resulted in more reliable losses than any other type of trade, and that is something I need to work on. But here anyway, this little floor at 42, 842, 66, that was back at 7 o'clock, and this structure gives me the illusion that a breakout is possible, and for sure if there was a breakout that was going to happen, that's where it would happen, but the chances are not in favour of that from my experience. I saw it come up, flatten out here with these previous lows from the morning, up at the 888, and it really just came up against that and started to arc down, came crashing down to the previous breakout level with quite a good amount of momentum, and then as soon as I saw this candle burst through, a lot of volatility just in this single 1 minute candle here, I just seemed to not be able to hold back, and I entered with a small bracket order. Also, I took 2 full losses in the space of about 10 seconds, all just because of this stab down, which is just dumb trading. I knew it was as I did it. Now I'm stuck in a make-back trade in Nasdaq as well, sitting in a fantastic hold of 50 ticks, which is wonderful. That's more than I would have ever made in any of my other trades. The crude trade was fantastic though. I'm happy with how that, not just because it was a success, but also just the structure I went for, the rhythm of this range. It may not have been the perfect conditions, but there was certainly more to go off than what led me into the Nasdaq trade. Gold has trickled up to its little floor from earlier in the at 5:30. I don't think I'm going to see an entry for gold anytime tonight. Crude's looking nice for another short setup here, but it's getting very thin. Risky. This is still trading against a breakout, but the rhythm is a little bit janky here. This might not be the best trade. This is very thin on crude. I only see this on crude really. Again, we're seeing weak downwards momentum on this range for the gold. It likes this 27.3 sort of area. 27, 27.3, 27.5 sort of area. But it's not coming down with much conviction, so I did not like that on crude. Getting ready to bail now. If I don't see a push. That would have stopped me out with my old bracket size. I still don't like the look of a short on gold here, despite the price. This is so painful to be watching. Still not the rhythm I'm after on gold, but that's not a bad place to enter. This crude trade may not have been the best, but it also wasn't the worst when I entered it. However, the price action clearly had changed. I should have exited earlier rather than hoping for a rescue candle. I could have saved myself half of the losses if I had done so, but I held on. Let's start with the Nasdaq. We've had a very flat day with lots of potential moves, especially here at 5:30. We've had a very flat day. We've come up to the 6:30. We've tagged 6:30 twice in the afternoon. It's tunneling at the moment. I think everyone's a bit twitchy because of the news that's literally about to drop. Not much to do here. Nasdaq is interesting today. Breakout trades are absolutely not part of my plan. Breakout trades, by definition, are a change in price spectrum, and I'm only looking for the extremes of price spectrum. 9 times out of 10, that results in me looking for extreme consolidation with lovely structure and rhythm. Breakout candles, all these things aren't my trade plan. If nothing comes, then nothing comes. Nasdaq is coming back to the top of its range here, but again, with the weaker push downs from its extreme outer range, it's a low conviction move, even if it is going to be a short pullback from here. We've seen gold come out of its range tunnel at the bottom here, rotating around the 621. It's pushed up to its previous tunnel level of 626, 627, 628 top, which is also the bottom of the afternoon. The morning destinations could potentially be 632 up for the high of the day, ranging here, trying not to make predictions. I'm seeing the prices in gold, but I haven't seen the structure or the rhythm here. Seeing the price again on gold, down here at the 26. There is more structure this time, but it's still not quite enough. Nasdaq is pushing down again to the low of day, looks like. It could stop at any point, obviously, but we could see gold come down to the 25 flat here. There isn't any rhythm here. Crude's come up to this sort of leveling off here. Nasdaq's made a new low for the day. Is it going to close the gap from yesterday's close down to the 900? Still no setups at all on anything really. Could potentially see something coming into gold, but the rhythm's all off. Might see gold come up to the 29 or the 28.5 or the 28. Biden's supposed to be speaking right now. Looking at gold again here, that's flatlined at the top here, back at 28. The structure has no rhythm, but we're either going to see a breakout to the upside or a return down to the 25, 26. I would love to take a trade here, and I do think it's more likely to come down, but I'm not seeing the rhythm or the conviction I'm after. Seeing something growing here in Nasdaq, this little box. Could see a retest down here, but if it holds, could potentially catch something coming back up or potentially down later on. It's quite a hectic fade though. Gold's punched up, sitting at 28.8, 29, back in the lower range of the morning, lower part of the morning range here, late morning. Could see a push up to the top again, or continue rotating around here. I've got to stop trying to use predictive language. Nasdaq's structure is growing, but the rhythm is sporadic. Crude seems to be hovering. Potential short on Nasdaq coming up. 36 at the 25, 37. We came up to the 41. Missed it. Extremely late entry. exited. Should have got a better entry on that. Putting too much pressure. Yeah. You knew when you should have entered. Oh well. Start again. This temporary range on Nasdaq is losing its downside conviction. Tagged the 37 a couple times, had a little poke up to 41. Had a chance to scalp this. Just fumbled the entry. I suppose fear was the main thing. Gold and crude seem not to be offering much tonight. Gold's come back to sit squarely in the center of its 4 o'clock range. If it can stay here for a while, something could potentially set up. Nasdaq is back at the top of its recent range, pushing to get to 40, sitting at 30, 39. Volatility is increasing on Nasdaq. It's just tagging the top of its recent range here at 42. I've gone for it here. Just playing for a return to the middle of the range again. Well, I was wrong there, I guess. Just trying to imagine how I might have been able to avoid this. Something I'll have to think about. Rough. Don't know how to analyze that just now. Second trade could have worked out as well if I'd held on. But this is a very perhaps only possible to do on NASDAQ. Scary kind of behaviour. Still in my trade plan though, just a different look on it. I think I should probably call it there for tonight.